So that was an accident. I would love to say that I was smart enough to do that, but I wasn't. Stupid mistake. We're working on this 70s Cordoba. So what we're doing on this car is what I like to call a resto mod. So we got a call for a razor that has gone off of the side of the road.
Matt Wetzel became famous for showing up when hope was almost gone. In the middle of deserts, mud pits, flooded trails, and rocky cliffs, a bright yellow recovery truck would suddenly appear. For stranded drivers, it felt unreal, like a miracle arriving at the worst possible moment. That was Matt's signature. He did not just recover vehicles. He rescued people from panic, frustration, and fear. Millions came to know him through Matt's Off-Road Recovery, a YouTube channel that turned real-life rescues into gripping stories of survival and problem-solving. Viewers watched as Matt calmly assessed impossible situations and turned chaos into control. He became a hero without trying to be one. But behind the success, behind the applause, a storm was quietly forming. A moment would arrive that threatened not only his career, but everything he had built from nothing. To understand how it all unraveled, you have to understand where Matt came from. Long before cameras followed him into the Utah desert, Matt was just a kid who loved machines. Trucks, tractors, four-wheel drives, anything with an engine fascinated him. While other kids dreamed of sports or fame, Matt wanted to understand how things worked. He wanted to fix what was broken. That curiosity shaped his entire life. His childhood summers were not spent at camps or vacations. They were spent working. Matt grew up helping his family in agricultural fields, harvesting crops under the unforgiving sun. It was exhausting work, dirty work, and often thankless. But it taught him discipline early. When machinery broke down, there was no mechanic coming to save the day. Matt had to figure it out himself. He learned by doing. Trial and error became his education. Those long days planted something deeper than mechanical skill. They taught him responsibility. If the tractor stopped working, the job stopped. If the job stopped, people suffered. Matt learned that fixing machines was not just about metal and tools. It was about helping others move forward. As he grew older, Matt took on roofing jobs. It was physically brutal labor. Long hours on burning rooftops, hauling heavy materials, driving nails until his hands ached. The pay was modest, but the lessons were priceless. Roofing taught him perseverance. It taught him how to keep going when your body screams to stop. It taught him that success does not come from comfort. Yet even then, Matt knew roofing was not his final destination. He wanted something of his own, something built with his hands, his ideas, his work ethic. Cars were always calling him back. Matt understood vehicles differently than most people. Where others saw a problem, he saw a puzzle. In 2009, he made a decision that confused almost everyone around him. He bought a towing company. At the time, it seemed risky, even foolish. The economy was unstable. The business was small. The workload was unpredictable. Friends questioned his judgment. Some thought he was throwing away stability for uncertainty. But Matt believed in himself when others did not. The early years were not easy. Business was slow. Equipment was limited. Competition was fierce. Every breakdown, every bad month, every unexpected expense threatened to shut the doors permanently. But Matt refused to quit. He believed that no challenge was final. There was always a solution, if you worked hard enough to find it. That belief became the backbone of his company. Instead of focusing on easy jobs, Matt leaned into difficult ones. Off-road recoveries became his specialty. Sand traps, rock crawls, flooded washes, deep mud. These were situations most tow companies avoided. Matt ran toward them. His willingness to take risks earned him respect in the local community. People knew that if their vehicle was truly stuck, Matt was the one to call. As his experience grew, so did his reputation. Eventually, Matt expanded his business by acquiring Winter Towing, a respected operation rooted in Hurricane, Utah. It was a major step forward. The acquisition gave him more resources, more credibility, and more responsibility. Matt was no longer just a tow operator. He was a business owner, a leader, and a problem solver for his community. Then came the idea that would change everything. YouTube was never part of the original plan. Matt did not wake up dreaming of subscribers or viral videos. At first, filming recoveries was simply a way to document his work and reach more customers. But stepping into the digital world came with its own challenges. Matt had no experience with cameras, editing software, or online algorithms. His early videos were rough. The pacing was off. The quality was inconsistent. But Matt treated content creation the same way he treated mechanical problems. He learned. During the day, he rescued vehicles. At night, he watched tutorials, studied other creators, and taught himself editing. He spent countless late hours figuring out how YouTube worked. Slowly, his videos improved, and viewers began to notice something special. Matt's content was real. There were no scripts, no fake drama, no exaggerated reactions. Just real people, real problems, and real solutions. Viewers watched him improvise with limited tools, weld scrap metal into working equipment, and think his way out of impossible situations. His calm demeanor under pressure made him stand out. People trusted him. The channel exploded. Millions of viewers tuned in from around the world. Matt's yellow recovery vehicles became iconic. Fans praised his creativity, his humility, and his willingness to help anyone, no matter how difficult the job. He was no longer just rescuing vehicles. He was inspiring people. But with success came pressure. As the channel grew, expectations grew with it. Every recovery was now under public scrutiny. Every decision was analyzed. Every mistake was magnified. Matt was still doing dangerous work in unpredictable environments, but now millions were watching. And then came the incident that changed everything. A recovery went wrong. Details spread quickly online, often distorted and exaggerated. Questions were raised about safety, responsibility, and accountability. Suddenly, Matt was no longer being praised. He was being questioned, criticized, investigated. Legal pressure followed. The same work that once earned applause now invited scrutiny. Fans were divided. Some defended him fiercely. Others turned against him overnight. The internet, once his greatest ally, became unforgiving. For Matt, the weight was crushing. Years of hard work, countless successful recoveries, and a reputation built from nothing were now being challenged by a single moment. The stress was relentless. Every decision carried consequences. Every silence fueled speculation. Behind the scenes, Matt faced the hardest challenge of his life. Not a stuck vehicle, not a broken machine, but the fear of losing everything he had built. And this was only the beginning. As the controversy grew, Matt Wetzel found himself in unfamiliar territory. He had spent his entire career solving physical problems: broken axles, snapped cables, vehicles buried in sand. But now, the challenge was invisible and relentless. Public opinion, legal uncertainty, emotional pressure. For the first time, there was no clear solution. The incident that sparked the backlash became the focal point of endless online debate. Clips were replayed, opinions hardened. People who had never set foot in the Utah desert suddenly became experts on off-road recovery. The nuance of real-world decision-making was lost in comment sections and reaction videos. Matt stayed mostly silent, not because he did not care, but because he was advised to. Legal processes move slowly, and every word carried risk. To fans, the silence felt unsettling. To critics, it felt suspicious. Speculation filled the void. The stress took a toll. Running a recovery business is already dangerous. Every job involves risk. Add legal pressure and public scrutiny, and the weight becomes unbearable. Matt was still expected to perform at the highest level while carrying the fear that one wrong move could end his career permanently. Behind the scenes, he questioned himself. Had success pushed him too far? Had the cameras changed the way people viewed his work? Was it even possible to continue doing dangerous recoveries in a world where mistakes were no longer forgiven? The heartbreak was not just professional. It was personal. Matt had always defined himself by his ability to help others. When that identity was challenged, it cut deep. Being labeled reckless or irresponsible contradicted everything he believed about himself. He had built his career on preparation, creativity, and care. To see that reduced to headlines and accusations was devastating. Fans noticed changes. Uploads slowed. The tone of videos shifted. The carefree problem solver seemed more guarded. The joy that once fueled the channel was harder to see. While some viewers remained loyal, others drifted away, chasing new content elsewhere. Still, Matt did not walk away. Despite the pressure, he continued to show up, continued to work, continued to take responsibility. He faced the consequences head-on, even when it meant uncomfortable truths. That resilience, the same resilience forged on rooftops and farm fields, kept him moving forward. Over time, the noise began to fade. Legal matters progressed quietly. The internet moved on, as it always does, but the experience left scars. Matt would never approach his work the same way again. The tragedy was not a single event. It was the loss of innocence. Matt Wetzel entered YouTube as a man simply documenting his passion. He learned the hard way that visibility comes at a cost. When millions watch your every move, perfection is expected, even in imperfect situations. Yet despite everything, Matt's story is not one of defeat. It is a reminder that real people exist behind viral content. That heroes are human. That even the most skilled professionals can face moments that change everything. Matt's off-road recovery still stands as a testament to ingenuity, grit, and determination. The yellow trucks still roll into dangerous terrain. Vehicles are still rescued. Lives are still helped. But the journey came with a price few ever see. The heartbreaking tragedy of Matt Wetzel is not that he failed. It is that a man who spent his life pulling others out of impossible situations had to face one he could not simply tow away. In the months that followed, Matt Wetzel began to understand a hard truth that many creators learn too late. When your life becomes content, mistakes no longer stay private. They become permanent, frozen in thumbnails, headlines, and comment sections that never forget. For years, Matt had lived by a simple rule: show up, solve the problem, and help people get home safely. That rule built his reputation long before YouTube ever entered the picture. But once millions were watching, intent no longer mattered as much as perception. And perception is something no recovery truck can pull back into place. What hurt the most was not the criticism from strangers. It was the doubt cast over his integrity. Matt had always taken pride in doing things the right way, even when conditions were dangerous and outcomes uncertain. To see his judgment questioned publicly forced him to reflect on every decision he had ever made on camera. Off-road recovery is not a controlled environment. There are no guarantees. Terrain shifts, weather changes, equipment fails. Experience helps, but it does not eliminate risk. Matt had always accepted that reality. What changed was how little room there was left for human error. Behind the scenes, conversations became more serious. Safety protocols were reviewed. Procedures tightened. The margin for improvisation, once his greatest strength, narrowed. Matt knew that one more incident, no matter how minor, could permanently end his career. The pressure reshaped how he approached his work. Some fans noticed the difference immediately. Recoveries felt more cautious. The pace slowed. The edge that once defined the channel softened. While some viewers respected the maturity, others complained that the excitement was gone. The same audience that once celebrated his bravery now demanded restraint. That contradiction was exhausting. Matt found himself caught between two impossible expectations. Be daring enough to entertain, but safe enough to avoid criticism. Be authentic, but never flawed. It was a balance no one could maintain forever. The emotional toll extended beyond the camera. Running a business under constant scrutiny drained his energy. Every job required extra planning. Every public appearance carried weight. Even moments of success felt muted, overshadowed by the awareness that things could unravel again at any time. Still, Matt did not abandon what he built. He leaned on his team more than ever. The people who stood beside him during rescues now stood beside him emotionally. They had seen the work firsthand. They understood the risks. Their loyalty reminded Matt that his story was bigger than online opinions. Slowly, he began to redefine what success meant. It was no longer about views or viral moments. It was about sustainability, longevity, protecting the business, the team, and himself. The goal shifted from proving something to the internet to preserving what mattered most. That shift did not come easily. Letting go of the version of himself that thrived on pushing limits felt like a loss. In many ways, it was. The tragedy was not just public, it was internal. A man who built his identity on solving the toughest problems had to accept that some challenges change you instead of breaking you. Over time, Matt regained a sense of control, not by erasing the past, but by learning from it. The channel continued, the work continued, but the lesson stayed. Fame is unpredictable. One moment, it amplifies your strengths. The next, it magnifies your mistakes. Matt's journey exposed the cost of turning real-life danger into entertainment, even when intentions are pure. Today, when the yellow recovery truck rolls into frame, it carries more than tools and cables. It carries experience, caution, and a deeper understanding of responsibility. The heartbreaking tragedy of Matt Wetzel is not a fall from grace. It is the price of visibility in a world that forgets context but never forgets controversy. It is the story of a man who gave everything to help others, only to discover that even heroes must answer for moments they wish they could redo. Yet, despite everything, Matt Wetzel remains what he has always been at his core: a problem solver, a worker, a man shaped by hard labor, tough lessons, and the refusal to quit when things get uncomfortable. His story is not over. It is simply quieter, wiser, and more careful than before.